get a good camera angle for the technical later. Yes, I think we make it proud. Please sign in twice. Get the handout beside the two sign-in sheets. The city keeps one, we keep one. We have coffee.
That was getting clear.
That works. That works. Chloe, come up here beside me.
Oh, good.
Well, that's okay. Throw my parcel down and just come up and sit right here. And Kathy, is that your water bottle? No, that's hers.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, now
Just tell me when you're ready to start.
I will.
Oh.
Could you at the back of the room close the door, come in and join us, please? Thank you. Come in, close the door, join us. We're so pleased to welcome everybody today. We are live streaming this on our Facebook page. We will begin in a moment. We have two to speak with us today. One is Wesley Prewett from the Sustainability Commission, which wasn't allowed to give comments before the data ordinance of the city was adopted. So we are going to hear what they thought should be added, and we'll toss in a few remarks. Some things we thought should be of concern are in the handout, a letter we submitted Tuesday night to the city board. So that's kind of a sense of a part of our agenda. The other thing is I want to welcome my neighbor, Chloe Chapman, who's going to talk about we need those accessory dwelling units in the backyard that everybody's going to be built to look good. So there's going to be a design competition for free blueprints coming out. Now, let us begin the recording. Good morning and welcome to the Saturday, July 11th, 2026 meeting of the Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhoods. Once again, we thank the city for the gift of the coffee donation to our crew. We are live streaming this on our Facebook page at CLRN.AR. And then at the conclusion of the meeting, the recording will be put into YouTube form, and the link to that YouTube recording will be posted on at CLRN.AR. So absent friends can play catch up. We do ask you to sign in for the city and a second time for the coalition. If you want to get emails from this group and you're not, make real sure your email address is very clearly printed. I want to say I'm going to welcome Chloe Chapman first because she is expecting, and so we should respect that a lady needs her rest. And she also has a voice problem, so maybe I should relay it.
Maybe, or if Wes wants to lead it, like computers also do good things. So if you want to start with the data center, that's totally fine.
Well, okay, we can organize like that. Let us introduce ourselves around the room. Chloe I've introduced her. She's my neighbor. She's the design competition sponsor.
I'm Mary from Ward 4.
Checo with here in Little Rock Community Minister. I have this little microphone here just for help to make sure we all get a clear recording or clear audio for the people that are around. So if we could just pass this around and just talk into it, it's for the live stream.
George Wise, Ward 1 and Arkansas certified.
Good morning, BJ Warren, Vice Mayor, City Director, Ward 7.
We're not hearing you?
It's for the live stream. Yeah.
Yeah, you still need to yell at me to be heard in the room.
Brooke Butler, Advocacy Alliance, and Arkansas Grassroots United.
Ian Powell, Ward 6, University Park Neighborhood.
Norman Hodges, Ward 3, Heights Neighborhood Association.
Brooke Weaver, Ward 1, former officer for the Downtown Neighborhood Association.
Hi, Carrie Doubleday, I live up in Overlook, and I am just anti-data centers and negative to every one of these that I could. Lawrence Jernigan, Ward 5.
Jan Baker, Ward 5. Denise Gleason, Ward 1.
Celia Bernheimer, Ward 6.
Tony Williams, from the Heights Neighborhood Association.
Perfect. My name is Wes Prewett. I am the most recent former chair of the Little Rock Sustainability Commission, current vice chair. And I live in the Capitol View neighborhood in Ward 3.
Kathy Wells, president and member of the Downtown Neighborhood Association, one of our founding group members.
Yeah. Chloe Chapman, Ward 3, live in the Hillcrest neighborhood. I'm also the founder of Our Little Rock, a nonprofit civic advocacy group for more people-oriented places.
Back there, Blake.
Hey y'all, Blake Tierney. I live in Ward 1 in the MacArthur Park neighborhood. I am the chair of the H. Finley Little Rock Commission. I'm actually stepping out, I have to leave. But I wanted to at least make an appearance and say hello to people. So hi y'all.
Thank you, welcome. So, Mr. Prewett, what would the Sustainability Commission have said had they been allowed before adoption?
Yeah.
What we should now revise to do?
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me, giving us the chance to speak about the data center issue. So the Sustainability Commission, just for those of you that don't know, is a city commission. It's formed as a mayoral committee during the Stodel administration, became an official city commission in 2018. We have 15 members that are appointed by the city board. Wholly volunteer body whose job is to provide policy advice to the city board, the mayor's office, and the city manager's office. We meet once a month, but we also have a few kind of ad hoc committees that are also public meetings that people are welcome to join in the community. We have been talking about data centers as a potential issue since the end of 2025. The first time articles were published in Arkansas Business and Arkansas Democrat Gazette referencing potential land sales or partnerships for data center companies in Central Arkansas. We started hearing public questions and comment about potential impacts to the environment in Central Arkansas. And so starting, I would say, in maybe November of 25, we started submitting questions at every meeting to our city board liaison, which is Director Kathy Webb. We made her aware that there were lots of public questions coming in, even at that point, into the Sustainability Commission, and we're just trying to gather information. And so, over our monthly meetings, that list of questions grew. Director Webb took them to the chamber, took them to the mayor's office, et cetera, and tried to get answers to questions about what the kind of impact of these data centers would be, what they were going to look like, what their water and electricity outlays would be, et cetera. And I think we've all come to learn that those answers may not be fully known. I think that it's reasonable to expect that the data center developers have a range or an idea of how much the utility outlays of these projects would be, but we did not get a lot of answers at that point. And so we have been meeting as a data center ad hoc committee of the Sustainability Commission monthly since the beginning of the year to talk about how we'd want to address the issues and what sort of regulation we'd want to see of these data centers. And so that culminated in a letter that we submitted to the city board and the mayor's office ahead of the June 2nd vote for the data center regulation ordinance. And what we recommended were three things. First, a temporary moratorium to gather public input and feedback, particularly from people who live in areas adjacent to the potential site. So communities in College Station, Sweet Home. I mean, I know that those are not necessarily in the city limits, and we are speaking specifically about the data center project that Google is operating in Port Little Rock, because our jurisdiction is city limits. But we wanted to make sure that the communities that were going to live in proximity to the project were consulted, and then the broader community at large would also have a chance to weigh in on what regulations they wanted to see. That was the first point of our letter. The second was, barring that, we prefer stronger regulations around the utility use of the project, particularly around water use and electricity use. And I can go into the specifics of some things that we thought were missing from that ordinance. And then the third thing we asked is that the city, in permitting these projects, considered the ecological risk that these projects could pose. As we all know, the project Port of Little Rock is being built in the Bush Creek watershed, which is a ecologically important watershed for our community, not only for the sake of it being, vulnerable habitat, but also important for floodwater management in central Arkansas. And so we asked those three things. The specifics in the ordinance that we thought were particularly missing were, I will say, I do applaud the city government for putting some regulations forward, trying to be proactive in regulating these data centers. I am still not completely sure where these regulations came from. As Kathy said, the Sustainability Commission was not consulted before this ordinance was proposed. I wish we had been. I think we could have helped strengthen it. But I don't think the conversation around this ordinance is over. I think there will be continued operation or opportunities to strengthen that ordinance. I think that a lot of the city board members are open to that. I think that there was a chance to get some regulations in the books. Specifically, I think that in the water section of the ordinance, I appreciate that they have already gone ahead and outlawed any open loop water systems. So you cannot use evaporative cooling or anything that is regularly drawing water. They say you have to use closed loop systems or use gray water in an open loop system. They also outlawed the use of groundwater for cooling, which I think is good. I'm not sure if you all saw, but both the Arkansas Times and Democrat Gazette published an article yesterday that the latest groundwater report for the state of Arkansas showed that Arkansas groundwater is being drawn at an unsustainable rate currently. So that is all good. I think the other piece in the water section that we would love to see is a prohibition on directly drawing water from our other water sources, not just groundwater, from the river, from Bush Creek, from any other sort of water systems in the area. And then some of the big issues that we took, some of the things that we took issue with in the ordinance were particularly around the energy section. Currently, there's no prohibition on generating electricity on site through fossil fuels. And we would like to encourage the city board to consider not allowing these projects to generate electricity on site through these fossil fuels, which in most of these cases would be natural gas. So they're burning natural gas in big turbines on site. That's been the problem with the XAI project in Memphis, is they have turbines on site where they're generating base power. So the difference between base power and backup power is one of them is going 24/7 to provide base level electricity, and then anything above that is purchased through the utility. Backup power is anything where whatever you purchase from your utility, when you don't have enough of that, you will then turn to your generators. A lot of projects are doing that base power system where they're generating gas first and then buying electricity. And we'd like to make sure that any data centers in Little Rock in particular, but in the region, are not using fossil fuels for base power. It's okay to generate electricity on site for using solar or wind. I think we would like to incentivize that. Personally, I think, not speaking on behalf of the commission, geothermal electricity makes sense as well. The airport is doing a huge project, and so apparently it's viable in that part of the city. So we'd like to encourage that. And then the second thing, I don't know exactly what a policy looks like, and the commission has talked about it, and we don't have an answer right now. We'd also like to try to push these data center developers, if they build, to not use gas backup at all. I know this letter here we're about to talk about touches quite a bit on batteries. but I do think we should be finding ways to encourage battery backup. I think that they are cleaner, they're healthier, they're more efficient, they're easier to dispatch, etc. And then the last thing that the commission really has called for is trying to find ways to ask the data center users in our community to be the first institutions, organizations, users of utilities to curb their utility use when we're at peak demand. So days where our electricity is reaching the peak that our grid can sustain, I think that we should be making a point of asking the data center users to curb their use before we ask homeowners and local businesses to do it. I think that will be especially important with water. I think we can build electricity pretty quickly in our market. I think Entergy is ramping up to build a ton of electricity. Who pays for that is an open question. It should be the data centers, but likely won't. But I think we have the ability to build electricity. I don't think we have the ability to add a lot of water to our system quickly. So I think that we need to make sure that if these get built, we're asking them to curb their water use on peak water use days first before we ask businesses and homeowners to do that. So that is where the commission stands. We are going to continue to meet as an ad hoc committee to provide more recommendations to the city board. Our next meeting, I don't have a specific date for it yet, but it should be later this month. It's a public meeting. It'll be on the city's website, and I can send the details of that to Kathy. And that's where the commission stands.
The backup, the gas generating, is that the one that makes so much noise?
So there are multiple systems within the data center that make a lot of noise. And some of that is, huge industrial-sized fans to help with cooling inside the building. Some of that is like the servers themselves have a low hum to them. But gas generation is really loud. You have turbines, you've got that are spinning and are not quiet. There's also a level of combustion here. I mean, it sounds like a generator humming behind your house, like a box generator. And so, yeah, they're loud, but that is not where all of the noise comes from. If we had no gas on site, these would still be loud developments.
So, my question is there not any hope that...
Pardon me, can we bring this microphone up to you?
Well, apparently have one up there, I didn't know that.
Oh, no.
Oh, to the gas, okay. I wasn't briefed before.
Sorry, Rip. Putting you to work
And
here.
by the way, if the light is red, it's off, so make sure it's blue.
We're learning here,
Yeah.
and we do have a microphone for our front speakers.
But we're moving them around the
particularly our
group with
ladies'
that one.
voices are hard to pick up.
Yeah.
So my question is there not any hope that this, with public outcry about these data centers, can be totally not one built, I guess is the best way to say it.
Stop it and quit.
I personally don't want the data center here.
State law decided that in 2023. No.
Okay, so
The answer
we
is
just
no.
have to assume it's...
You cannot refuse, you cannot ban, you cannot reject.
I think there are avenues to potentially stop it. I think they're long shots.
Yeah.
I think it is
I understand.
Army Corps of Engineers saying that they can't build it there, et cetera. There are a few avenues that I think they're long shots. I think really though, if you don't want a data center in the community, what you need to ask for is tight regulation, a rollback of tax incentives, et cetera, to make it where it is difficult. It is not a total slam dunk for these companies to build here. I will say, Little Rock is the perfect place for a data center if you're a data center developer looking across the country. We've got plentiful water, we've got cheap electricity, we've got cheap land, we've got light regulation. These data centers need us more than we need them. And so they're going to be looking to build here, basically no matter what. And so we have to find ways to either bring as much community benefit out of these as we can, or make it hard to build.
Thank you. From your voice, from your viewpoint, what can we as individuals, where can we best have our voices heard? Where will it do the most good? I mean, I go to board meetings, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not much of a speaker, so I don't get up front and speak because my mouth gets tied. But where can we do the most good?
I think the answer is it's a tough question. I don't have a great answer for it. I think engaging with groups like Sierra Club, with the Sustainability Commission, with Audubon, are great ways to do it. Who are organizing not just here, but at the state level and national level to address data center regulation is helpful. I also think speaking to your city board member, you don't have to get up at a quorum court meeting, but I think having a personal relationship and speaking with your city board member, your quorum court member, and then your member of the state legislature, and saying, I don't want this and here's why, and making a good case that these are not great for our community is really helpful. I think that there is opportunity to change hearts and minds of some of our decision makers who can find ways to curb the most harmful parts of this bill.
Let me point out that the coalition is on record as having asked the city board and the mayor to open an amendment revision file with the planning staff, because the night it was adopted, June 2, there were many people who felt more should have been included in it. No one has replied. So I would like to ask Vice Mayor Wyrick if she's willing to see that file is opened and we begin a revision process.
So, I don't know why we haven't done that. I can talk to the planning commission and see where that is.
Vice Mayor, here,
That's for the
Can you speak up, please?
I don't know why we're not doing that. If it was asked to be done and it wasn't, then I'm not sure why it's not. But I will take that as an action item back.
Please.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I was disappointed in. When we had those presentations by Google and the chamber, I thought we were going to have questions and answers on your site, like questions from individuals, and then we would have answers from it. And I went out and looked at it the other day. I don't see it. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. Have any of y'all seen that?
No, but you call the vote right after they all gave a presentation.
Yeah. So I'm really disappointed in that. I don't know if any of you have submitted questions and got answers back, but it doesn't seem to have the running tally, and I thought that was going to.
That's right. They have disconnected it as a, one who was invited to the secret Google meeting. I was able to draw from the staff and Laurel Brown, their public affairs director, a couple of understandings about this. If you go on the website, there is a way you submit comment. The email address shows up as Hello Little Rock something. And what you do is those questions you're talking about, you send in that email, and then you go look a day later to see what, if anything, is now posted on the website. So in the event they choose to answer your question, and several of the early things that we all were asking have now appeared on the Google website for Little Rock. So you should have that. And you keep on checking on that to see what's today's posting. And that is how they are structuring it.
And the reason I bring that up is because I've got a list of 54 things on how not to love a data center. They're questions. I don't know where they came from, but I looked at it just last week, and we still don't have all the answers. And that's what prompted me to go to the Google site and see if I could find anything. But when we approved that ordinance on June 2nd, I said, this is a beginning, it's not the end. We can make changes to the ordinance to make it stronger. And I think one of the things that city board is confronted with, we're not all in tune with what data centers are about. Sustainability, we've done a lot of work. Everybody's gone down the rabbit hole, looking at details on data centers. So your input, which speaks to your question, your input, your questions, those things are helping us figure out what it is, how we need to make that ordinance stronger. We address water, we address electricity, we address noise, we address generators. I'm not happy with the length of time for Google to fix whatever the problem is. They have 30 days to identify it and 180 days to fix it. It could be a health and safety issue, and I think that needs to be adjusted, that we would fix it quicker than that. And then we don't address pollution, and we don't address the
heat that might come from the Google Center. I talked to some folks about that and pulled down what the latest EPA requirements are for pollution control, and I was kind of glossed over because there's a lot of formulas, there's a lot of information, you know, and I think we need some help from ADEQ to answer some of those questions, and they haven't been brought to the table to talk to us about that. So that's some of my thoughts. And every time I talk to somebody, I learn something new. And I saw the JP in Grant County where he said we don't want to see it, we don't want to hear it, we don't want to smell it. And that's basically what I'm hearing from everybody. But it's like Kathy said, we cannot stop it, but we can make our regulations smarter so we protect it from it. We can't stop it because of that 851. One of the things, maybe in January, I think it is a full legislative session, isn't it?
It is.
So that advocate should go to the legislature and try to get some help on how to handle these data centers.
One of the things I can answer about the activity from the Department of Environmental Quality, I was fortunate enough to make a good contact just a couple of days ago. Those of you who received the emails saw the full historic file of the 145th Sewer District file posted. And the staffer who enabled me to reach that and distribute it, because the companion one out in the county at Wrightsville is going to have to use that sewer district for their wastewater discharge. That wastewater permit has been operating since '89. They have never had the money or the staff to come into proper compliance, and time and again, they have fallen out of compliance and they've had to scratch up a little bit to get back there. So that is a real serious problem waiting to happen. It runs through 3 creeks before it is discharged into the Arkansas River. And then she says, you know, the Department of Environmental Quality has to go out and write from scratch permits for wastewater discharges for data centers. Now that we've been visited with, we're now getting them here in the state. We don't have any regulation to cover that. And she cheerfully tells me how the staff is going to have to go out and research this carefully, and it's going to take a long time. So one of the things that's beginning to shape up here is that with the most energetic pushing that might occur from any source, between the very lengthy period the Army engineers takes to review a dredge and fill permit, which is months, and the fact that the state is now got to create a brand new wastewater discharge permit set up from the get-go, is none of this is happening fast. None of this is happening next year. But that gives us a window in which we need to open a file, thoughtfully review what the city has already got on record, and fill in the gaps and pick up the omissions. One of the things I'd like to point out, Vice Mayor Ware, is the last line of the letter I submitted Tuesday night said simply ban PFAS chemicals and firefighting foam anywhere in the city. Now that's going to benefit from a large fire that might erupt at a data center. They are a category, an order of magnitude of risk and hazard beyond anything we've known. Nobody quite picks up on that, but we need to start confronting, oh, this isn't like the biggest fire I know. This isn't like, gee, we have a fire at, oh, the med center. This is a whole lot more. And we need to be budgeting 27 staff and preparation time now. Google says they'll pay for it all. But unless and until you create an equipment list, a supply list, maybe one of those 5 years to deliver specialized firefighting trucks with attachments to deal with this, they're not going to pay a dime, and you don't know what it's going to cost you. But staff really should be starting now to do that. And the very simple thing is, should you ban the PFAS foam? And one of the things that just came our way in the last week was that is a professional recommendation from the National Firefighters Administration, because there is a category called fluorine foam that is perfectly adequate to the need and poses none of the risks and hazards PFAS chemicals do. So it's sitting out there. That is a low-hanging fruit to pick, as the phrase goes in government discussions. So I really recommend that you take that back and see if you can't start that down the pipeline. But also instruct the management system, emergency management system, to work through this list. This is a respectable professional list from, in fact, retired Little Rock Fire Chief Gregory Summers that was just revealed at our June 27th public forum. And this just scares me silly to look at all of the things that could erupt. There's another professional analysis that we just carried out in the last few days from people that are worried about lithium-ion batteries. We've been talking about fossil fuels. Well, it turns out the industry's ahead of us there. They're shipping over, switching big time, I should say, to lithium-ion battery banks for their backup in their center. And there's been a couple of them explode into horrific fires. So now the professionals that are having to respond to this are beginning to focus in on, do we allow them to be built into the system this way or that way, which is going to be better for firefighting eventual disasters. That's the kind of a thing that your staff needs to be turned loose on.
Yeah, the other thing that I did mention in regards to what it didn't cover is, not to my satisfaction anyway, is the police powers. So they kept saying to go back to the ordinance, and two more things that I think need to be added. First of all, I think a data center ought to be a conditional use permit and not a bioreactor use or I-3 zoning. Because developers can go into plots of land in our city that are zoned C3 or C4, which is commercial use, and we have a lot of that around, and then zone it to I3, guess what, we can get a data center here. So I think we ought to change these data centers to only by a conditional use permit, which means that each one of them you have to go through a process to understand what it is that you're going to do. And so that was the issue one. The police powers is another issue, because the only thing it says is if they don't follow the regulations of the ordinance, the city can fine them $1,000 a day. Well, we're giving them 180 days to fix the problem. That's $180,000. That's a drop in the bucket for a Google or a data center. So I think that needs to be adjusted and worked out. And then, like you're talking about an emergency situation, who responds? Who's in charge? Who's in charge of the fires, the chemicals, the spills that might happen? We don't have that defined. So what you're talking about here kind of goes along with my thoughts on that. We were given, 7 days? The mayor laid an ordinance in front of us, and we were given 7 days to pass the ordinance, and I didn't think that was enough time. I don't know why there was an urgency to do that ordinance that night, but in my mind, it's something. It's a beginning, and so that's why I supported it. But I do have concerns about who we are. And if you guys are much smarter than I am, like I said, I've been down the rabbit hole once or twice, and I go, oh, what is all this? But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on where we are. I will support a moratorium. There's been suggestions about 1 month, 1 year, 6 months. I haven't seen the ordinance for the moratorium, what it's going to look like. It's not going to be voted on until August the 4th. I don't know why it was delayed to August the 4th. I was ready to support something last week. I don't know if we're still trying to get the votes from the board. I'm just not sure what that's about.
I can tell you, one of the things that puzzles me is why we're talking moratorium instead of hopping on to preparation for disasters and revising the ordinance safety regs. Mr. Whitener, who is your building permit supervisor, spoke at this group a couple of months back, and he was very reassuring because of the fact this is an industrial grade category. And he is clearly a mature professional who's kept up the credentials, who's made sure that the city has downloaded and adopted all of the latest safety standards for heavy industrial activities. And I seem to recall some 15 or 18 standards that any applicant must satisfy him are met properly for safety and operations before they get a building permit and they get a certificate of occupancy. And remember, one of the things about certificate of occupancy is forget about fines. You can shut them down. You can walk right out there with a cop with a gun at your side and you say, you are in violation. You have failed to remedy the problem for health and safety. We're shutting you down unless and until you get it fixed. So, excuse me, I don't know why everybody's fretting about $1,000 a day when they have a really big club they can use. Have you forgotten it? I'm sorry, this just puzzles me.
I didn't see it. I did not see it. I went out and looked at the standards of the IRA. I did not see it. And that was the only.
Ask Mr. Whitener who imposes these. Go have a nice long chat with Mr. Whitener whose salary we pay and you depend on for safety.
Well, you're making me feel better, okay? So I will talk to him about it.
I mean, when the city popped up shortly after Mr. Whitener spoke with us and reassured us, it looked to me like frosting on the cake because we'd already seen there was a safety standard to protect us. Now, it turns out there is distinction to be made between building permit standards and the zoning stuff where you bring in what was brought in on the ordinance. But they work together. But the one is there whether the other had ever come along, and I am grateful that we got it, but we need to open it back up because we're finding out stuff every day. Lithium-ion batteries are this horrific risk. So now we're discovering they just invented something called sodium-ion batteries. Yeah. There's just discovered, but there are, by the way, standards in the city setup right now against noise and air. So whatever happens from now on, Mr. Whitener is not going to let it go beyond the boundaries of the property because that's his standard to enforce, to sum it up.
That information should be provided. I went out and looked at the zoning ordinance. Maybe you're talking about building ordinance, but and I even talked to Mr. Carpenter about it, and he said I was looking at the right place. So I'm happy to look at something else, so I'll feel better about it. That's one of my concerns.
Mr. Whitener was completely reassuring. We recommend that you speak with Mr. Whitener.
Okay.
Mr. Wise.
There is a draft of a moratorium, and I think one of the concerns why it wasn't presented regularly was to be able to clarify that the moratorium would apply to the Google data center. And the draft that I've seen, the moratorium would apply to the Google data center. So I would encourage everyone to be at that next meeting, even if you're not going to speak, numbers do matter. So the other thing that I wanted to address is this issue of closed loop systems. Sierra Club has proposed that any data center be a closed loop system, but there's a lot of different types of closed loop system, and I need to clarify in my comments that I've sent to the board that the closed loop system that we would advocate for would be a closed loop.
You need to speak to the far side of the room. That's just the recording on the line.
Oh.
That doesn't get anybody told across the way.
Okay.
Sorry.
The closed loop system that Sierra Club would advocate for would be a closed loop refrigerant system that doesn't use PFAS. There are ones that don't use PFAS, and that doesn't use fluorocarbons. I know there's been some criticism of advocating for a closed loop system because some do use fluorocarbons and some would have PFAS in them. We saw recently in Wyoming where I think it was Meta dumped a closed loop system. Some of the closed loop systems, you use the, whatever it is, the water or the gray water for a while, and then you dump it. That's not a good idea because there are 3 counts of chemicals that get into that water, and I don't know if the wastewater utilities look at that.
And even entering into gray water in a closed loop system, you're saying?
Even in a gray loop, closed loop system, they're going to discharge that water eventually.
It can't stay in there forever.
It can't stay in there
Well,
forever.
but why does it pick anything up if it's a closed loop? I'm mixing, understanding the tech.
When you're installing it, there'll be an initial flush that will go through it also. And that's what contaminated the municipal water system in Cheyenne recently, was that initial flush to begin the closed loop system. The data center in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
But even then, the liquid that's running through a closed loop system is a refrigerant mixed with water. And putting that into your wastewater system is already full of chemicals and it's hard to treat. So that is the point that you're trying to make.
Yeah,
is that this is full of chemicals already. And it's
Oh, I see. I thought gray water was just what gray water was.
Well, it depends,
Pure
on,
gray water.
it depends on what kind of system
They
you
have
use.
to add things to it to make it work.
Like your air conditioner at home has a refrigerant in it, an air conditioning coolant. It's going to be the same thing at an industrial scale.
They add lubricants, they add things that
Descalers,
keep the pipe
biocides.
from
And this all depends on the system. You can regulate into where they just use pure water systems that are more expensive, but most likely they'll be using systems that have some sort of coolant or refrigerant chemicals in the water.
Is that something you think can be banned by a city ordinance of safety?
Well, I think so. You could prescribe the type of closed loop system that happens.
So that's another lesson for city emergency management staff to learn about, create a chapter on
Yep.
for our city ordinance. Good to know.
Director Warwick, you said that the ordinance was the first step in looking at the hyperscale data system. Wesley,
Two of these guys.
Wesley, you said that the Sustainability Commission has made recommendations to the board with 3 recommendations dealing with hyperscale data centers. What is the status of the recommendations that you've made? Has anybody on the board approached you to include the recommendations and possibly including them in the ordinance that you said is the first step? What's the status of your recommendation?
Yeah, so we have submitted first a list of questions to Director Webb that went to Chamber and Board. Then we submitted a letter that said, slow down, do public engagement. If not, here are some things we'd like you to regulate. That has been submitted to the board, been read in front of the board. We've got positive feedback on all of those, and the idea is that at some point we will revisit this ordinance, indefinite timeline, and we've been assured that we will be included in the process when that happens. I don't have an answer on a specific timeline of when that will be revisited, although the commission will continue to push. So.
And we know that the city attorney is working on an additional ordinance.
Speak up, please.
And we know the city attorney is working on an additional ordinance.
Yes.
I don't know what all is on it. Carpenter is working on not an additional ordinance, but a change to the current ordinance that we have. And some of the things that I talked about a few minutes ago are going to be part of that ordinance, but specifically what you all have added, I don't know where that is. We can get into details of what the ordinance.
So you don't get a copy of that. That goes to Kathy Webb and it stops with her.
It was in the board packets at that point.
Was it in the board packet?
Yes.
So everybody can't pretend they're ignorant. That's my advocate's question. Okay.
Has Tom Carpenter come to the Sustainability Commission to include you in writing an amendment to the current ordinance?
He has not. We have met once since the June 2nd meeting, and don't remember who our guest was, but I don't think we had one. But before that, we had Tad Bohannon from Central Arkansas Water. We had Brian Day from Ford. So we gathered a bunch of information. We had a representative from NPT come speak. So we have been essentially interviewing all of the people who are touching these projects to gather as much information. Any information you've seen in the paper about water use, Tad Bohannon has come from his questioning at the Sustainability Commission.
Mr. Roberts, I would also question Tom Carpenter making a public announcement that you can't do anything about the data centers because of Act 851. We attended a meeting at Central Arkansas Library where Richard May said that he would take that into consideration. There may be a challenge involved in constitutionality of 851. I don't think we should automatically say we can't do anything about because of 851 when it may not specifically deal and didn't with fiber data centers. And therefore, your hands are not tied. Therefore, you can.
In 25, they fixed that error.
Fix that error.
Well, we're not lawyers, but I'm
I do think it's
not taking the view that we can fight that one. It's a state battle anyway.
I'm not sure that the city should be spending resources on it, but I do think that there should be an attorney, an environmental attorney, who attempts to challenge it. I'm totally with you on that.
I question the literature of that Act 851. It only mentioned data center twice in there. The rest of it was
See, that was the 23, and then 25, they came back and fixed the goal, the gap. You're right. It was, shall we say, short mention in 23, and somebody poked them, and they said, oh, we need to directly state data centers, and that was 25. So you've got to look at the two together. Yes, sir. Speak up so they can hear us up here.
Sorry about that. Again, my name is Rowan. I'm from Ward 4, I believe. I hope there's a lot of concern in this room about like public involvement, and I deeply respect the Sustainability Commission for exploring options within our current existing procedures to regulate data centers. But I seriously think that we need to look at exploring other ways of approving contracts. I think that we need to. Like, ideally, we could have a system where ultimately contracts are open to a 4-week review period, where they have to have 3 mandatory meetings with the public, having like a public attendance quorum and a city director approval to take public comment and address public comment before even accepting contracts such as ones for regular data centers. And I think that we also could use like government disclosure of reports and funding agreements. I think that we need to be privy to bid evaluations with contractor justifications, performance obligations, and modifications to contracts. And I think this should all be downloaded on the internet. But before any of this, I think that we need to follow in those footsteps and actually ban NDAs. I don't see why we should have NDAs for public-private contracts. It is, yes.
Well, you have an official here to hear that, so we'll see what comes through City Hall on that request.
I did not sign an NDA. I was not involved in an NDA. I don't know if anybody else on the board or the mayor was involved in an NDA. I don't know the answer to that,
It was
but I
Tom,
personally
from what I can
did not.
tell. From what I've heard, it was Tom Carpenter was the one that signed an NDA from the city. And then obviously all the chamber people did. And the Chamber of Commerce is acting on our behalf. I feel like we should be privy to the information of them acting with public funds on behalf of the city of Little Rock. So I do think they're definitely, certainly, I think it's not really within the commission's jurisdiction, but a rethinking of the Act 9 industrial bond, pilot, tax abatement process, and an amendment to the NDA process for the city, I think are both justified based on this.
I just have one question. My question is, I know we're talking cities and city boards and things like that, and then you're talking about legislation and things. Is there any way that we can get the state legislators involved and have them on their little red or blue carpet discuss the changes that we can infiltrate in on, because this is not just affecting Little Rock. We are known as the Arkansas Natural State, and as I know, people that come in, they talk about the trees, how good the air smell, and the best water tasting ever. Those are the top 3 things I've heard from various people that does not live in the state of Arkansas. So not just putting the pressure on the Little Rock board, but can we address state legislators that we have voted for to start implementing laws or
You can
acts?
absolutely do that. You should know the name of your legislator, and you should bring that up with them directly. It's going to be long odds, because the folks who support all of this the way it is now are in the majority. And there's no indication that will change after the November ballot. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to highlight some things that were said here, and the possible conflict of interest. If City Attorney Carpenter did sign an NDA, he's also working on the ordinances to revise them. Would that be potentially some sort of conflict of interest with us not knowing what the NDA entails?
It's now moot. We can ask for that FOI tomorrow.
That's right.
Go get it. See what he said. He was basically not saying anything back on a time deadline. That deadline has passed. The announcement has been made. That NDA is dust. You want to look at it, go do it. But that's pretty much what it'll say.
I don't know that the conflict that he's the one that a city director has to go through to draft additional ordinances. And I know I've been talking a lot with Kevin about additional ordinances, and to your point about public meetings, and those are things that are being considered added to additional restrictions. But the first thing we need to do all this is a moratorium. We need to slow things down.
Yes.
Have there been any environmental studies in regard to this that Brian Day chose to just flip under the city boards? Thank you. Brian Day flipped under the, what's it called? Did y'all vote on?
NDA?
No.
And memorandum of understanding?
Right. But y'all voted at the beginning of the different things that y'all have discussed. I'm thinking it's a covenant vote or whatever it's called.
In April of 2025, we presented an ordinance and a motion.
Give her the microphone. We need to record her low voice. Sorry.
Sorry. I don't talk.
You're going to have to learn to project in your public appearances, my dear. Or carry one of those with you.
And as we go to this new system to try to get better audio for our online recordings, a good rule of thumb would be don't speak unless you have the microphone or you're sitting very close to
this one,
the phone, or to that microphone.
There's an air conditioning unit, in fact.
That's why I'm telling her to yell at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. You probably don't know. It's unbelievably loud, and it's drowning horribly loud.
So
That's why we're in trying to get this figured out.
maybe I could walk over there, maybe. Would that
Just
help?
yell.
I can't yell. If I do, you'll think I'm mad. In April of 2025,
No.
we presented an ordinance and a motion. And the ordinance stated an industrial use in the port for a company called Yellow Bin LLC. Attached to that ordinance was 3 or 4 pages of things that had been agreed upon in that review. We did not ask enough questions about it. I'll tell you that in April of 2025. We did a lot of potential uses in the port. Another industrial use in the port, I don't guess flag any of us to this magnitude of what we have going on here. Very few questions asked. There should have been more. But anyway, that's what happened in April of 2025.
And I understand that. My biggest point is, Brian Day did this, did not give y'all information.
No.
Slid it right under the table. He signed an NDA.
I don't know.
Yes, he did, because I spoke with him, but he was not running this deal. He was, submitting to Jay Cheshire and Jack Thomas at the Chamber, who were the actors, who were assembling this, who were writing this, who were extracting incentives like, gee, you're a $3 trillion net worth company, and we're going to offer you the same kind of incentives that have been done for a generation in Arkansas to bring in industry. You're not going to pay your city franchise tax for water, for sewer, and only a quarter of it for electricity. It's just pitiful.
Yes, it is.
If you want to know the magnitude order of difference, you go look at that. This is the kind of thing the Chamber has been offering left and right, year in and decade out, and it's just embarrassing. You know that's not why they came here, and they didn't need to offer zip.
So who authorizes the chamber to give this?
They've got $200,000 grant budget from the city of Little Rock every year to go out and do this. Procurement of industry.
I know they're independent, that's what I'm saying. How do they have the right to?
They
tell
get state,
anyone-
they get city budget money to go procure industry. That is their mission.
So we didn't hear, we did not add anything other than the MOU and that one sheet of paper, that ordinance for Willow Bend LLC. We got nothing else. I got nothing else until January of this year, when we got two ordinances to increase the franchise fee for industrial use for sewer and water. We increased it to 10%. The original MOU showed 0, but they were to pay 10% franchise fees, the water over 1 million gallons per day, and the sewer over 750,000 gallons a day, I believe. It might be 850, but I think it's 750. So, and the MOU said 0. So then we get two ordinances that come in January that raise that same amount of usage to 10%. I asked the question in the meeting, do we have an LLC, a business, a company that this will apply to? Tom Carpenter said no. I said, what happened to the ordinance and the MOU for Willow Bend? And he said, it never was signed, it went away. It's January. So I'm wondering how he could have signed an NDA, and he didn't know in January that it was still active. I mean, you can roll the tape on that meeting in January and see that he said that. Okay, so then the next thing that I hear is people are very concerned about data centers. That started developing about January of this year. And then on June 2nd, we had this ordinance to deal with. So a lot of steam has built up in regards to data centers since we signed that MOU. And all of us have been trying to figure out, how bad it is, how good it is, how we can work through this situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if he didn't know in January that this business is not active, how was he on the NDA?
Well, and not only that, these companies are starting quick LLCs and buying up properties in states. Virginia just had to redo things because they went broke because of what they were giving the data centers. Okay? And those are the stories that I'm reading and trying to give the information to everyone I talk to.
But nobody on the board, the mayor, no one said, oh yeah, it's still active. So based on what he said, I'm thinking it went away. It did not, it did not get signed, etc. I talked to him maybe 3 or 4 weeks later and said, oh yeah, by the way, it was signed. Why did he not know that in January? If he's on the NDA, why did he not know that we had actually signed the MOU and ordinance?
This is such technical concern of such brand new arrival on the community scene. It bears acquiring consultant technical expertise. Your city attorney is supposed to be all things to the board on every issue, but you've never had this one before, and nobody has said He needs a helper. He needs some professional steering and guidance and advice. And I recommend you pursue that.
The other thing is the planning commission is the one that came up with the ordinance. And they went out and looked at best practices across the United States. And so they gave us, the planning commission gave us a document to build the ordinance from, and then that was handed off to Tom, and then Tom constructed the ordinance. So I don't know what development.
Another bunch that had never dealt with this and has no expertise.
And you weren't listening.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, okay, I don't mean to.
They need to hear you over the hum.
I don't mean to hit the conversation too much, but I think the topic of taking this fight to the state legislature was brought up. I think that one of the things that is often discussed is how the state has prohibited municipalities from banning data centers or hyperscale data centers.
Nobody can hear a thing you're saying.
So one state law that's often brought up in the conversation of data centers is that the state has prohibited municipalities from banning the construction of hyperscale data centers. But I think that another policy that we need to be looking at is trying to selectively heighten property taxes for data centers. Now that is currently prohibited under state law that was passed in 2025. But I do think that, not to get partisan, but if we say that the people who are in favor of this are in the majority, if we want to actually come down on these data centers, I think that we need the Democrats at least committing themselves to repealing that law prohibiting selective higher property taxes for hyperscale data centers and allow municipalities to tax these data centers what they're actually worth. I mean, they are worth trillions of dollars. Data is an asset. It's being traded by numerous different corporations, people's personal data, and it is an asset in the same way that housing is an asset in this market right now. I think that we need to look to actually tax these data centers more than just the usual tax rate for properties of that scale.
Two difficulties with that, friend.
Yes.
They're coming to a low tax state. That's one of our attractions. This is in the Constitution. And frankly, there's no way we could raise you're talking about the property tax here. There's no way you could raise that, even in a special category, that would bite a $3 trillion net worth company. So it's the flea and the elephant. The other thing about that is most of them have already got the state Act 9 of 1960 bonds, which is where they get the 2/3 reduction in property tax millage. Now, for 30 years that they've got a financing of a portion of this facility out there on that piece of dirt, they only owe 1/3 of the property tax millage. We got that information and we posted it a month ago or something. It's out there. It's a few million. It's not the big windfall people might be imagining. But as long as they have that bond, that is the most tight, solemn, legally binding of contracts between you and the bondholder. The one good thing about this, a financially acute friend pointed out to me, was in the event the bubble bursts, as some have predicted, or they don't get enough client revenue to continue operation of this facility, as some others have projected is the case, they might decide they can't keep on doing what they're doing there, but they still owe the bondholder every month what they are owed, and those folks collect. You talk about nothing is sure but death and taxes, I guarantee you bond collectors come right in there. And that means that at least something would be brought in to operate a kind of activity that would generate them some revenue that would pay off their monthly bond obligation. But that's already cooked. So that is really going deep into the technical weeds, and it is extremely unlikely that anybody would be willing to disturb that policy. And there would be, I think, some legal objections to it. So take that into consideration.
I appreciate your response. It's my understanding that there was one specific state law that was passed last year prohibiting selective property taxes going higher on data centers. I might be wrong about that, but if we could potentially repeal that law,
There's a sales and use tax exemption. You get off the property and you get to, I'm gonna buy $1 zillion worth of little bada bing computers. You can tell I'm a technical expert here. And another bunch of somethings for the chillers. And all the stuff that's on the floor, the factory floor. Well, that's a lot of money, and they have a special exemption to pay the state sales tax and use tax on that. Now, that is a fight you can have. Wouldn't expect that to be successful, but that is also on the books.
yeah, I guess when we're having a conversation of like how we cover all of the negative externalities that data centers could produce, both economically and like the disaster vulnerabilities that they're creating, I think that it's difficult because they're not even evaluating these things right now, and the degree to which they would have to pay taxes to actually cover those negative externalities. I think that we don't have it in our tax code right now that like really enforce that.
Oh, but we have the Google promise they're going to pay their own way. What I'm urging the city to do is write the invoice, write the impact fee ordinance, and then we put dollars and zeros onto that promise, and then you present them the bill, and then we collect. And once again, they have to have a certificate of occupancy before they turn on the power and go whir, whir, whir. And they don't get that until they pay up. If the city will pursue its authority, I submit. Yes, ma'am.
There's a public notice on Forum Court that I saw that Brian Day had requested the Harper Road to be redone so that all of this can just run smoothly. Why is that being shoved down our throats? So Lacey County's going to be paying for the road, and they've never done anything in Sweet Home before.
They will presumably collect back from Google because Google says they'll pay for it all. And the roads have been a specific conversation in something that I've just passed by me.
Is it once the construction starts and all the trucks come through, it's going to destroy the?
But I'm trying to get it stopped. Why is Brian Day putting that in front of the Forum Court right now when we're still working and doing a moratorium? I don't get how we can just.
Because a moratorium has an end date, and the expectation is thereafter they will go to this plot of land with a construction crew, and heavy equipment will roll right up the road. Yeah, he's the one who's looking at doing this stuff now, just like we submitted this now.
Yeah.
And the expectation is that they will write a check to pay back the county for everything that is spent on Harper Road.
Now, promises they never going to keep.
I think they will not be able to refuse. Once again, you hold the keys to the front door. They want, you hold them to ransom, quite honestly, if you think you need to. But I have every reason to think from the reports elsewhere, they pay up with a smile. They have the money at the ready.
So they have the reputation for paying up?
Let me put it this way. Nothing has come into my research efforts that indicates they have declined and they have not made good on their promises.
Yeah, I
Have you?
From what I can tell, data centers are highly impactful developments in the environment, communities. Google is a better actor in the space than lots of their groups. XAI, Meta, Amazon, this Avio company that basically doesn't exist, we don't know anything about, are all certainly worse actors in the space than Google. Google's one of the biggest companies in the world. They can pay to fix hardware. They will, I think, meet a lot of the financial obligations that they're saying. We obviously don't want to take them at face value. We want agreements, we want it written down, but I think they're going to attempt to be good for it better than, I'd say they're marginally more trustworthy than some of the other potential developers. Probably not trusted.
I repeat, you don't need trust when you can shut them down.
Yep.
You can hold them to ransom, to use an old term. So that's not a worry, as far as I can tell.
That's not in the Little Rock personality to do that. so
Well,
far.
excuse me, I'm Little Rock, born and bred, and it's in mine.
Well, I'll stand there with you.
The Lord gave me a big mouth for a reason. Recording.
Having mentioned Ohio, can I bring up something that's not Little Rock? Can I?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I'd like to bring up the fact that there is going to be a protest at Wrightsville
At their Tuesday public meeting at 6 o'clock at the
on
gym.
July 18th at 9 a.m.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At 12512 Highway 365 from 9 to 11. Now, the folks in Wrightsville, compared to the amount that we talk about Google, has been more or less ignored. And what's happening there is even worse than what's happening in Google. And I think we need to be there and support them and spread the word. Let's get out there on Saturday the 18th and be there and support them.
So 1 week from today, 9 a.m.
They'll have a variety of tents out there too with information.
And what is this address again?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
It is 12512 Highway 365 in Wrightsville.
Is that out on the side of the road in the heat, or
There's
what?
a lot. There's a lot.
You obviously not know much more than I do.
There's a lot that has been donated for use that is off the road.
What is the protest for?
What will the sign say?
It's a general, it's part of a national day of protest against data centers. And it's the Little Rock contingency, and we'll be out there. There will be tents, and it is a general, like I said, part of a national protest against data centers.
Okay.
50501 group, or
Yes, they're gonna, I believe they're gonna be part of it out there too. Yes, but it's, the official sponsor is the Wrightsville Residents Association for Responsible Planning, I believe.
And it's people protesting marches are
Yes.
included.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
And you've not been introduced, you came late. Tell us your name, Nanita, and
Hey.
what you represent. Where you come from.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Nanita Danielle Claiborne. I'm out of Ward 1. I am a positive resident for the city of Little Rock, and I'm just excited to know what's going on so we can prevent disasters.
Former Petaway Square president, Petaway.
Neighborhood Association President, yes.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay. Let us hear now from Chloe. How are we going to do this, Chloe?
I've been thinking. Could I use that screen potentially to have some visual backup to my
Oh,
existing
yeah,
voice?
go by all means.
Okay.
Crank it up and see if we can make it work.
All right.
And while we're working on that, I'm going to say let's take a little break if some of us need to get refreshments or something. Be right back.
Our next meeting, I'll text you.
Yeah, I've been wondering about this legislative U.S. state stuff because city laws.
Because I'm telling you,
I think that would be, I think that's the most important. If they're gonna build something, we should bring every dollar of public benefit. We should make
Yeah. It doesn't matter how, well, I know what you're saying, but if
Is there somebody in the hall?
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's resume
I can get it for the recording by standing behind it.
I'm gonna do this, if that's helpful.
Okay, darling.
All right.
That's as close as we can get. Now we need to screen up, don't we?
Oh, it's okay. We were able. We'll have it for the recording.
I defer to you.
I really need a heads up when we're gonna
No, I
have it.
know. I do event planning too, and I was like, this, I'm your worst nightmare.
They come from the group, and I hustle it out there. Bless you, my child. All righty, we're going to resume the meeting with change to accessory dwelling units by right, by state law, in every backyard of every house in the state and the city of Little Rock. What's available if you go out looking to buy one from Amazon or Home Depot is a box, just a little ugly box. And those of us who care about lovely architecture, historic architecture, or even simply compatibility with the main house you're in the backyard of, have the happy notion to create some blueprint drawings that we could give to someone who comes in to get a permit to build an ADU in the backyard. Do you need something, sir?
Yes. The gentleman out there is cutting trees and branches and stuff, and someone driving a gray Nissan SUV.
That's me.
All right, we will
Excuse me,
take care of the problem.
do you folks know how to turn this off? It's making so much noise they can't hear each other.
There's a thing right here. I don't know if that may work.
Mary, see if it'll twitch when you touch it. My guess is they won't let us do it. But hey, we can try. Thank you, sir. Okay. Once again, attempting so, since we want to get some blueprints to hand out for free, when you come getting your permit to put up your house in your backyard, this fine lady, my friend, Chloe Chapman, has conceived a competition amongst professionals with a grand prize of some cash and a lot of bragging rights. And we're going to announce
Gray Volkswagen?
Gray Volkswagen?
Oh, gray Volkswagen.
That's not you.
I've got like a blue gray Volkswagen.
Rick thinks it's his.
Okay. Oh, it's yours? Okay.
So that we can get a stack of blueprints, several different designs to hand out and assure that when people build accessory dwellings in the city of Little Rock, they do not have ugly box. And we can promote by grace and charm and peer pressure good things.
Is this the NVIDIA?
What's that?
The NVIDIA where you can put the data thing on the back of your house outside?
No, this
it's
is
not.
a total little tiny house in your backyard.
So yeah, I
like
can.
the mother-in-law house?
Yeah.
Or I want to rent something in my backyard?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're shifting away from that.
We're shifting
Yeah,
totally
so sorry.
away.
We're going to pivot topics to one that's more focused on housing and housing choice. So can everyone hear me? Is this working? Okay. So was that? No? You can. Okay. So our Little Rock in partnership with AARP Arkansas is hosting an ADU for You Little Rock Accessory Design competition. So for those who don't know, our Little Rock, we're a nonprofit, started in 2020. Gosh, now it's 2024, 23. But we envision a more livable Little Rock for all. So our mission is to really build a network of residents who have stronger community connections, a deeper understanding of people-oriented places, and the tools to shape their neighborhoods to be more safe, resilient, and joyful. So we're really all about walkable communities. We partnered with AARP Arkansas because they also have a livable communities mission. Their mission is to empower people to choose how they live as they age. Does everyone know what an ADU is? Otherwise, I can give a little bit of an overview. You guys are all familiar. Okay, let me just give a little overview. Also, not sure if you all, I'll share this presentation too. I do have some example pictures.
What we will do is she will send me the email and I will send it out to everybody who can do that.
Okay, perfect.
How about that?
I can't write and sit here at the same time.
But if you signed in with a clear email or you're on my list, you will get this presentation in your inbox before bedtime tonight.
Okay.
And the presentation will be on a recording. I recommend seeing it on a larger screen so you can get a good view.
Thank you. All right, so quick overview of what an ADU is. So it's a smaller secondary home that's built on the same lot as a primary home. And it's flexible enough to be a first-time apartment, a place for aging parents, or extra income for a homeowner. It lets aging adults downsize without leaving their neighborhoods, live near family for support, or house a caregiver on site. So it really offers a lot of opportunities for flexible living situations as you age. They're also known as in-law suites. Here in Little Rock, carriage houses. You see them. It's not a new to Little Rock tool, but for a very long time they've been made illegal in single-family zoned areas. So we have a great opportunity. Yes.
In the design, are they allowed to be attached to the house?
They are. I actually have a great image. Well, AARP put together this amazing image of all the different ways that ADUs can exist on that lot. So they can be detached, so they can be in your backyard. They can be attached, so you can have like an additional new construction add-on to your existing home. They can be interior, so you can...
the attic, the basement, or the back wing, just to sum it up.
Yeah, attic, basement, back wing, and then garages. So you can have like the above the garage, or you can just convert your garage. And what it needs to include is to be considered an accessory dwelling unit. It needs to have a sleeping area, a kitchen or kitchenette, and a bathroom. So
connection to water and sewer.
Connection to water and sewer as well. Yeah.
So your RV off the duck woods isn't going to be rolled in the backyard and considered accessory. They plug that loophole.
Yeah, and why this is a timely conversation and why we're bringing this ADU design competition online is in 2025, it became state law. It's Act 313 that requires all of Arkansas municipalities to allow at least one ADU in single-family zone lots. So that's your R1s, R2s, R3s. Yes.
Is it going to be just one design or different designs? Because the design to convert my double
Yeah.
carport into a space, which sounds fantastic, is totally different from something independent.
Sure.
In the backyard.
Of course. So we're going to be we're opening up a competition so that designers all over Arkansas, we are definitely wanting to give priority to people based in Little Rock and for Little Rock communities to do the designs, but we want to open this competition for people to submit any ideas that they have for ADUs. There are going to be there's going to be excuse me, I'm like thrown off a little bit, sorry. There's going to be a few different, like a lot of designs submitted. There are going to be prizes for the top 3 as well as a student entry. And then there will be a design showcase and ceremony for the top 3. So,
But you are going to be showing at least one design in every category we just enumerated.
We will
detached, in the attic, in the basement, in the carport, out the back.
Sure.
way.
So the ones that
There
are
you go.
what we're opening it up to.
Grubby one.
Yeah, well, it's because we want to have it be more apples to apples for the judges as they're reviewing. Our planning committee has decided that it's open to detached because that's requires less customization. The attic or the basement's really going to be determined by the floor plan of homes. So either detached structures or like add-on new construction where you can kind of just attach it to the side and not have to have it be so customized. Carport would be an add-on. They're pretty standard size, so yeah. And that could be either detached or the attached. But we do have.
Can we do it ourselves as total non-professionals, or do we need some kind of permit?
Oh, no. You're going to get a building permit from the city. They're going to make sure that you don't screw up the water and the sewer and the whatever.
Yeah, so the design is just.
Oh, I beg your pardon, shut my mouth.
What's that? Sorry, what was the question?
She wants to know if she could submit a competition design.
You're more than welcome to. And we're going to go into kind of like what that all includes. We do have a website. We do have design guidelines. So, but yeah, I was going to give a little more overview of like the why here and now, if that's okay. I love it. And I want to see your design, so that'll be cool. But yeah, so 2025. Bye. Thank you so much. And then 2026, Little Rock has their zoning code ordinance as well. That went, that was finalized in August 19th, 2026. And that was to help safeguard local interests and comply with state law. It is still relatively conservative though, so we're also hoping that this ADU design competition gives us some opportunity to see if there's ways for the city to further streamline or further open up opportunities to make this possible. Bye, Wes.
Was that August 19th, 2025 amendment, has that been, or the ordinance, has that been amended at all? I know that the planning department held community meetings around strengthening ADU regulations. Did that, I didn't go anywhere?
Yeah, so as far as I know, state law 2025, and then August, did I say?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
August 25.
My brain's not operating the way, so August 2025.
And it rests there today, unamended, unrevised, and not much willingness to hear any proposals for amendments. Once again.
But they are open, I think they are open to it.
The planning department held last fall a bunch of community meetings. I went to one in UALR about amending that ordinance. They were gathering community feedback. So the planning department has surveys and data and all this stuff of community feedback.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything else happened.
No amendments. No, you're totally cool. Yeah, no amendments have been made. It did have to move forward with the ordinance because the state law kind of came down and said, hey, all of the cities need to comply by this date. And then I think there were submissions already happening for ADUs, and there's a little bit of a, oh shoot, we need to have an ordinance in place sooner rather than later. But the intent of this competition is to also highlight opportunities for further improvement and maybe contribute to support for amendments. But yes, no promises have been made. All right. Let's see.
Everybody needs to get behind, isn't this wonderful? And take it to the board and the mayor and say, don't you want to get behind this? And print up free blueprints that come out of the permit process in housing and neighborhoods. Think ahead.
And also in this presentation that you all will be seeing, there's I have some slides of just the survey results showing that 80%, more than 80% of people who are surveyed are in support of ADUs, and that like how residents would most benefit from having these in their neighborhoods are they would love to have it housing for aging parents or adult children, affordable rental housing, income support for homeowners, and then just more housing options for smaller households being some of the top benefits. And then where ADUs can go in Little Rock, so single family zoned areas. I do have a map here to show you all just where like a lot of Little Rock is single family zoned. And also there's a screenshot of future land use. Little Rock has a future land use map that shows where all of the planned parks and open spaces, neighborhood commercial, mixed urban use, and like service trades districts are. So ideally these ADUs are built in areas that are residential low density or medium density that are within walking distance of these other areas to further promote independent living options for people who don't own a car or, yes.
One other thing that I find myself remembering here is that in the census of the city, we often are dealing with issues of affordable rental housing, and you learn very quickly that half the housing of the city of Little Rock is rented, which means that half of it is ownership. So if, I've forgotten the number, let's pretend it's 100,000 structures of housing, 50,000 are going to be rental and 50,000 are going to be homeowners. So potentially we would add 50,000 more ADUs in the backyard.
I got you on that.
Okay. Press
So
on.
the opportunity here, also I'll share this with you all, but we have, Little Rock has 99,000 total housing units. Like,
I got it.
You did. And 53% are owner occupied. So Kathy's on it. Other stats that I wanted to share, we have 15% of our population is 75 years old or older. As we get older, our ability to see and drive safely and live independently without a car becomes more difficult. Also, other stats, the average household size in Little Rock is 2.26 people per household. So we have a lot of households with a lot more bedrooms than the typical household needs, and those added bedrooms and added space equals higher electricity bills, more cleaning, more space to clean, more space to fill with stuff, and all of that is an added cost per square foot. So if we're able to have smaller housing units with less space, we're able to bring down our, that all makes housing more affordable. Let's see, and of those 99,000 total housing units, 63% of them currently are single housing units. So the opportunity is 62,000 new households.
Maximums.
If all of our existing single family homes got a little ADU, we'd bring 62,000 homes online. And then divide that in half if it's owner occupied. Usually owner occupied are more motivated, I think, to build the ADUs, so half of that. But that's a lot of houses. All right, so this ADU competition, we really have 3 goals with this. We want to help increase ADU awareness, and access. We want to help spotlight Little Rock's new ADU ordinance. A lot of people might not know what it was, what it allows homeowners to do, and then to really champion age-friendly design. So we want to help educate leaders, builders, and the public to on designs that really help people age in place. And that's there's AARP has also a great resource on helping to like no steps, wider doorways. There's a lot of different things that can be designed into homes to make them more comfortable as we age in place. And then I want to also share with you all, so we are launching, we have a website that's, it's all going to be listed on ourlittlerock.org. We also will be printing and kind of posting these flyers around town, so you'll be seeing them. But it shares what ADUs can provide, why people should.
ADU for you is the big
yeah, ADU for you. And yeah, accessory dwelling units can provide affordable housing options, aging in place opportunities, multi-generational living, and more housing choices in existing neighborhoods. And then why people should participate. We're welcoming professionals and non-professionals to submit designs for ADUs to help expand housing options while showcasing design skills and contributing to a really more resilient and inclusive city. First place is going to win $1,000, and it goes down from there. Submission deadline is going to be August 7th. We have design requirements. So as mentioned before, all designs must be detached or an attached ADU addition that meets site conditions and includes a kitchen, bathroom, sleeping area, a separate entrance so that you have independent access points that aren't shared with the main home, and then at least 3 universal design features. The ADU size, I actually reduced it down to 400. Because you can live comfortably in 400 square feet. I can attest to that.
My God, woman, my library takes up more 100 feet than that. I'm not a candidate for this. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So starting at 400 square feet up to 1,000 square feet, you could probably live comfortably in 1,000.
4.
But 400 to 1,000 square feet is the design guidelines. Height 17 feet. Max for standalone or attached 1-story additions, and 27 feet for if it's above a garage or 2-story attached. And then setbacks are in line with the R2 zoning because that's our most prominent single family zone. Also, that's the most prominent in our more like existing infrastructure with our existing utilities and streets, and can fold into it, and less, I guess, restrictive like HOAs from planned unit developments.
And one of the things here is they're very attentive to the importance of that separate entrance getting its own address so that the ambulance can find you, the firefighters can find you, the police can find you, and the postman can find you. I happen to be slightly involved in some of that discussion. There was an episode in my personal life with my carriage house out back that led me to learn more about this than I really wanted to know. But the thing is, when you're doing any designs or talking with people about designs, mention to them there needs to be a very visible second entrance. And they're going to have to make sure that Pages gets it on their maps. That's a hiccup that's potential. Let me say that.
That's great that you bring that up too, because also in this competition guideline packet, we've simplified the, we've simplified, where is it? No, it's a little long, huh?
You have a very full slideshow.
Yeah, well, also within this packet, I've included the AD regulations as a way to help further educate on like, what does this mean? So there are 15 points on including like you need your own separate address for your ADU, what the parking standards are, and all of those things. So that'll all be included in the packet that you get.
Oh, you're also including what happens when the
also including what happens when you have a 60-year-old house and you're adding a whole new kitchen to the electrical system?
We are not, but we could definitely collect questions and find out like what are the questions that come up from homeowners or designers so that we can better educate. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a question that arises if I was getting a building permit for anything attached to a 60-year-old house? They are going to have a modern electricity standard. Being in an older house, I've learned that these are regularly updated to an international standard of wiring and safety. And if you build it new today, you're going to have to meet the current standard. And if it's going to be attached to something old, there's going to have to be a properly safe connection. Let me just sum up a whole body of discussion like that.
That sounds good. Yeah, for the design competition, it's strictly like your architectural designs. It's not going into the engineering and the additional like electricity systems.
There will be an electric box, but now what goes in it is a separate question.
And all of that is that's fair. And this is more to kind of show you visual overviews of what is possible. And we are yes.
Porches and round pillars and square pillars and windows, tall or wide.
So
is that a good fair?
Yeah. So with the required visuals for your design submissions are a rendering of the ADU. So this can be a digital sketch or a 3D model or illustration, just helping you visualize the design. Floor plan showing the scaled interior layout, and then a site plan showing that ADU on a 50 by 150 foot lot, so that you can get a sense of like where it would sit in relation to the primary structure, because you cannot build an ADU without the primary structure.
Are there any rules on where an ADU can be built in relation to the primary structure? Can you on the front, what sides does it have to be back?
Yeah, there's definitely setbacks for our recommended, and I'm running this by the planning department to make sure that we're in line with our design requirements so that it matches what the city has for R2, but because I couldn't find exactly what the setback from the primary structure was, but in our current requirements, it's 5 feet from the primary structure, 8 feet on the sides setbacks, and then 25 setback from the front and the back. But yeah, still working on a few more details.
I mean, basically that means that most houses are already built on the front, the sides to setbacks, you have to build in the back.
Yeah.
You're in the backyard in effect. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
More often than not, yeah, it's going to be in the backyard unless you have like a side lot.
Yeah. Since I'm on the planning commission.
Yes.
One moment while we get the recording.
I'm on the Little Rock Planning Commission. When we were informed of all of the legislation that was passed relative to allowing this, that RVs were permitted, was there a change to the state statute?
I didn't see, so when I was going through the city ordinance, I think I saw something that said you're not. Let's see.
There is a water sewer connection issue, Norman, which is why you heard me talk about the thing that you might use in the Duckwoods. But if you're talking about basically a metal manufacturing mobile home that you could bring in on wheels and take off the wheels and connect water and sewer, and that be your ADU, I suspect that your square footage is the limitation there. There's just not going to be enough room in the standard residential backyard for that to squeak in.
Well, for the RVs,
I mean, depending on if it's 400 square feet, I mean, many mobile homes.
Sure.
Travel homes meet that requirement. So
for the ADU zoning ordinance, it says you do need a will serve letter, so you need applicable water and wastewater utilities before it can move forward, and then it also needs to meet general code compliance. And then we do have a link to the city planning departments. They have a really great like ADU website. I don't know if you all, I'll also share this with Kathy to send out.
Off of the planning commission site is this dependent site.
Or the planning department.
I'm sorry, yes, it was the staff department.
So from the staff department, they did a bunch of Q&A, and I think I remember seeing something in the Q&A about
There's something in
RVs.
there about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We just haven't been informed of that.
So
Well, you're just gonna have to go hunting and research yourself, my
I
darling.
know.
So our RVs trailer. So this is directly from the planning department. The question was: are RVs, travel trailers, or similar vehicles considered ADUs under the building code? And the answer is no. RVs, etc., are not considered ADUs. To qualify, a unit must be constructed on a permanent foundation and comply with all applicable residential building, zoning, and safety codes, including requirements for permanent plumbing.
Passed, so I'm sure things may change, obviously changed since then, but I didn't know that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, no worries. Yeah, I'll circulate this too, so you all get the Q&As, and then as these questions come up, our team will also try to further educate so that people are clear on what ADUs are, what they aren't, and what Little Rock, to help promote more of them.
It might help if we could convert on your competition website some of these standout questions that have been highlighted today in graphic form. So instead of just talking about is an RV allowed, well, it's got to be on a permanent foundation. Maybe somewhere we could find a way to have a little, this is allowed, circle red / through it, this is not.
Yeah.
I would submit that to you in your idle hours.
Kathy, I'll take your.
I know, it's a cruelty joke. I'm sorry. Move on.
No, we're good. We'll do our best to try to make these communications as accessible as possible. Luckily, this competition is not being put on by just myself. We do have a team of about 10 who are on our planning committee. Within that committee, it's myself, it's Patricia Fry with AARP, CJ Brady, who's the new chair of the Sustainability Commission.
I'm the vice chair now.
Yeah, she's also a communications. Well, she signed up to help us with communications, so I'll bring that up to her.
That's right. That's her job.
And then we have Morgan Weithman, the executive director of the Quapaw Quarter Association. Kathy Wells is helping us plan this, who you all know. Blake Tierney, who is here for just a second, with the City of Little Rock Age-Friendly Commission. Bobby Matthews, he's a current. He's built an ADU on one of his properties. He's a small-scale developer in the Central High neighborhood. And then Justin Bess with the Little Rock Downtown Neighborhood Association, and also very active in active transportation. And lastly, Chris Burks, who is a University of Arkansas Little Rock public policy professor, as well as and sustainability commissioner, and also wearing many hats and joined like SOMA 501. Yeah, everyone that I just mentioned are wearing multiple hats too, so it's a good variety of networks.
It's going to be a really nice little project, and it's going to produce some really fabulous designs.
Yeah.
We've got quality folks coming with quality stuff. Let me just sum it up like that.
Definitely. And we're building a judge panel as well. So all of these, all of the designs that are submitted, the deadline is going to be August 7th. After we receive all of the submissions, those packets are going to go to judges throughout the city that our team is currently recruiting. We already have Mike Orndorff as one of our judges, but we're reaching out to other people that have either interest in age-friendly housing or affordable housing, or actively are designing and know like this would work. This actually is a really expensive project, and so we're getting that, and then we're building towards the showcase and where we're going to be giving everyone their prizes and trophies, and that's going to be end of August, early September. But you all will obviously be invited to that, and also we invite you to submit designs as well as get the word out so that we can really have as many fantastic creative designs that fit the character of Little Rock.
This is just for people like me who are really excited because I was going to be needing somebody to dig in my house
Yeah, that's a good question. It's challenging to put in costs
I know.
with any sort of like development thing.
Could I make a suggestion
Really
here?
wide,
I know.
anything for $500 to
We could
$500.
try to put in a range, and I maybe could work with some existing developers to say like ballpark, like
Because the professionals want to know what's under.
yeah, they'll be like, this isn't going to
Well,
be.
they're gonna know, certain specifics. In other words, are you gonna build with wood or are you gonna build with brick? You very quickly get into far more variables than a rather limited competition
I had a
can do.
retaining wall built, I understand the variables.
Yeah, yeah. But like we could do things. I know with a lot of development, it's like by square footage. Obviously, it's a lot less square feet, so that automatically will make it less.
Well, that's one possibility. The other thing that occurred to me
We
was
can
go
do
out to
ranges,
some of
too.
the commercial stuff. Like I mentioned, you can buy a box from Home Depot or Amazon. You could say the minimum is going to be, because if you bought a box from Amazon or Home Depot, it would be this much. And then if you do other things otherwise,
Yeah, I can.
that
look into-
that phrase might be included. I don't think you'd necessarily stop with that one.
I can look into ranges too. One of the hats I wear, I work for a national nonprofit called the Incremental Development Alliance, and I'm sure there's resources that I can also dig up just on like national level, like what the range is for what to expect, what costs to expect when you're.
Well, and
building
Orndorff
it.
has built them, so he's a resource.
He's definitely a resource too. Yeah, but thank you for the question, and we'll see what we can do.
Any other questions? I'm going to say thank you so very much for coming and participating today. Wanted to remind everybody about the Wrightsville Public Meeting Avayo is hosting Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, once again at the gym there in Wrightsville. I've sent out this flyer, but if you want to come up and take a picture of it, make sure you've got all the details. And finally, we are in election season. We are now seeing folks run around, collect signatures to be put on the city nonpartisan ballot on November 3rd for mayor or representatives of wards 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. We have not only a sitting Ward 7 representative here today who's the vice mayor at the current moment. She's a candidate for mayor. I want to encourage everyone to put October the 10th, Saturday, auditorium here for the candidate forum we're going to have for all the local races, including contested city races for mayor and these ward races. We'll be in the auditorium down the hall. Tentatively, we're starting at 9 o'clock and we'll be done by noon, and we will refine that timing as we see how many races, in fact, do develop and what kind of allotment we need to make. Typically, we will ask 3 questions of a candidate, plus they will have a 3-minute introduction to give and a 3-minute closing statement to give in the forum structure that we operate. Certainly welcome volunteers to help on that big day.
I will say I've been to a few of those campaigns. They're super informative for folks at a municipal level, trying to understand who's running, what's going on, so highly recommend attendance to that.
Yes, sir.
You're running with the day again?
Saturday, October the 10th. It is a second Saturday, like we are always on the second Saturday here at 10. But for that event, which we expect to run a longer period of time, we allow. Plus, you remember we're in the hot campaign season. This will be just before early voting starts October the 17th. So all of the people that are coming to our forum want to come to our forum and complete their duties and get out there hustling on a Saturday before people start voting. And we like to accommodate them. We want this process to go forward. We stand adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.